Well, good morning. It is Wednesday. It is our prayer and fasting day. I want to direct our attention to Mark chapter 1 here this morning. Fascinating passage of scripture. In fact, I would encourage you to read through Mark chapter 1 at some point today. I want to draw our attention to when Jesus goes to Capernaum on the Sabbath, and he goes into the synagogue and he begins to teach there. And people are astounded at him, what authority he's teaching with. As he's teaching there, there's a man with an unclean spirit, an evil spirit. Jesus takes authority over that. He casts out the unclean spirit. The man is delivered, and people are even more astounded. And what authority he has. What authority is this? That even the demons hear his voice and have to obey. After that, he goes to Simon's house, and Simon's mother-in-law is there, and she's sick, and Jesus goes and ministers to her and heals her. And then it says, verse 32, that after sunset, sun had already set. It's evening now. I wonder how late Jesus was out working, doing this ministry. And people began to bring the sick to him. And he continued to minister to them there. Yeah, like I say, I wonder how late that went on. But it was for sure after sunset. Here's what struck me in this passage. There's so many things you could draw out of this passage that should awaken us. But here's what I was struck with here this morning. The very next morning, verse 35, now in the morning after that intense day of ministry, having risen a long while before daylight, he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed. Wow. I think oftentimes even myself can look at the busyness of our days and look at the busyness of our schedules and almost in a way, and in a sense, use those things as excuses for not meeting with God. Knowing full well, we all know this, we all have responsibilities, we all have things we need to do, we all probably have a full plate. And yet, Jesus, I think, gives us an incredible example here. Saying something like, man, this is how important prayer is. This is how important, why we need to be people of prayer. Jesus himself, knowing that even the day that he was walking into was a full day, he was going to continue preaching the gospel all along Galilee here. I'm sure the day that he was facing that day didn't look much different than the day that he had just gone through. And here's the deal. Our tendency would be to use or look at the passage like this and say, well, yeah, this is Jesus, he's God. Well, he was God in the flesh. We know that Jesus got hungry. We know that he got tired. Scripture tells us that he dealt with those aspects of humanity. And so, he's giving us a great example here. And I want to encourage all of us in this here today. We might say, man, I just don't know where in my day I'm going to find time to meet with God. May I submit to all of us here this morning, speaking to myself included, absolutely. We might have to get up before the sun comes up. And we may say, well, I already do get up before the sun comes up. Well, maybe even before that. And spend time with God. That's how important it is. That's how much it needs to be prioritized. And as we do that, we'll start seeing the blessing of meeting with God and become something that we desire to do, something that we actually look forward to and realize, like, man, unless God fills me with himself, I'm powerless to even face the things that I need to face today, to even accomplish the purposes that he wants to use me in for that day. I've got to meet with him. I've got to have my heart aligned to his heart to be about his business, the same way Jesus was about his Father's business. See it as a thing of necessity and desire and something that we actually long for. And so I just want to encourage all of us with that here today. If that needs to be the case, then let's let that be the case. But we've got to meet with God as a priority. I want to once again invite all of us, such a great time together, seeking the Lord on Wednesday nights as a body, as a people of God. You remember Jesus when he went into the temple and he saw that, man, the intentions, what his Father had for the temple, his Father's house, the purpose for that, and he saw that they were just nowhere close to being about his Father's business within the house of God. And he would say, my Father's house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. I think that's saying something to us here today. This is what it means to be a church. This is what it means to be the people of God. And to have this kind of a reputation as a people of God. Prayer's at the center of it all. That's what Jesus said in relation to his Father's house. Now, obviously, well, there's so many things I can go into with that, but I just want to leave that at that and just encourage us, man, Wednesday nights are important. This thought ran through my head. I'll just let you know on this as long as I'm just kind of going on and on here. I was even thinking last week, I think it was last week, when the governor had an announcement to give for this is how we're going to proceed. And this was at 6 o'clock. And I had this thought hit my mind, and just in how, and I wanted to listen to it too. I wanted to hear what he had to say here, just as it relates to how we are going to continue to be able to move forward, and what does that mean for us being able to meet together again and in face to face, and just those kind of things. And I couldn't, but this thought did come through my mind, like, okay, that was at 6 o'clock. We were coming together to pray at 7 o'clock. What we did, and I fully believe this, what we were able, the privilege that we had to do at 7 o'clock in meeting with our God was far more important than what happened at 6 o'clock. The impact of what happened at 7 o'clock had way greater impact than that which happened at 6 o'clock. I'm not minimizing the role and responsibility of the governor. I'm just saying, when we grab hold of what prayer really is, and what it means for the people of God to come together and meet with God, that'll have way more weight and way more effect than anything else that even the world around us would say, this is a big deal. It falls miserably short in comparison to the people of God coming together to seek his face. And so we have that opportunity to do that tonight. And I want to encourage you, come, be a part of it. Let's continue to seek the Lord together. By the way, yes, I am in my daughter Erica's bedroom right now. Sometimes you just got to go where somebody isn't in the house to be able to do something like this. Anyways, have a great day.